Hey everybody, Captain Algebra here, and this weekend was Mo Game Con in St. Louis, Missouri, so I thought I would talk about my experience and pickups. So as usual, it was a great time. Me and a bunch of friends, other YouTubers, stayed at an Airbnb like we've been doing for the past 4 years, where we could just hang out, have drinks, have some good food, play some video games, just have a good time when we weren't at the con. Because honestly, that is the best part of conventions, just hanging out with people you don't get to see very often. And so I want to say we had 12 people in the Airbnb this year. So we had Tom and Lacey from Do You Nerd. We had Dan Brosman from Midwest Media Show. We had Chris Pico, Midlife Crisis Media. We had Peter Bateman, Waves and Games. We had Wes from Gaming Off the Grid and Brian Newland. We had Sean, 8-Bit Glitch 79. And then a couple new people who I hadn't met before, but I've known online. First of all, we got Telesplash Gaming, which was super cool. This was a complete surprise. So I get there, I'm saying hi to people, and I see this person out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I'll say finish saying hi to these people, and then I'll look. And then I looked over, and dude, it was Telesplash. Super cool to finally meet him. He's a super cool guy, really fun to hang out with and chat with, and finally get to know him. So that was very cool. And then also Co-ople of Nerds, Mary and Fresh were there. So first time I got to meet them. They're a lot of fun. Fit in right with the group, and we just had a great time as usual. So I was super excited to finally meet them. And yeah, I mean, like I said, that was the best time. This year we spent a lot of time playing Halo 2. We played a little bit of Tiger Woods. We played some Mario Kart. We just played some Super Smash Brothers, and then we even played some board games this year, which is pretty rare. So yeah, it was a fantastic time as usual. And then of course at the con, I got to see Game Beaters. Freak of Four was there. Chum Nasty was there. Pat from Show Me Retro was there. So it's always cool to catch up with people. And so yeah, I love the convention, and can't wait till next year. But let's get into the pickups. So a bunch of stuff this year, not just Genesis stuff, because it's getting harder to find Genesis games, that's for sure. It's crazy, like I'll go around the whole convention and I'll barely see anything that I need. And if I do need something, it's either too expensive or it's missing the manual or something like that. So, but I did get some, but we'll save those for the end of the video. So first I did get a sealed, which of course we're gonna crack the seal because sealed games are dumb. We've got Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. So this was my last purchase of the day. I had $5 left, and I like to try to buy stuff from friends. And so Brian Newland was selling this, and he actually had it marked for 15 bucks. But since I only had $5 left, he gave it to me, which was super cool. So we're gonna open this seal right now. I'm a huge fan of the Metal Gear Solid series, but honestly, past 3, I haven't played anything. And I never play my PS3, so this gives me another reason to play it. So we'll crack that seal. There we go. And boom, there it is. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. So super cool. I have no idea if this is considered a good game or not. Dude, it even has a manual? God, remember when games used to have manuals? How sweet is that? So yeah, I'm super excited to check that out. Like I said, I haven't played my PS3 for a long time, so it's a perfect excuse. Next, I did get one PS1 game, and that was Blaster Master Blasting Again. So I'm a huge fan of the Blaster Master series. I played the NES game a couple years ago and had a blast with it. Then I tried the Blaster Master Zero games, loved those. And so since then I've gotten Blaster Master 2 on the Genesis, and I know there's a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color game for sure that I'll need at some point. But I saw this, it was cheap, I wanted to bundle with something to get another game cheaper, and so I was like, oh, I'll grab that. So it's like Blaster Master, but it's 3D. I've heard it's not very good, but I know from the little bit I played, and granted this was like 15 minutes, I had fun. I thought it controlled really well. It was nice that you could use the analog sticks to control. I didn't get to any of the parts where you get out of Sophia and you go into the kind of the dungeons, but just driving around, shooting enemies and stuff, that was pretty fun. So I'm looking forward to checking that game out a little bit more. Then I did get one DS game, and that is Kirby Mass Attack. I'm a big fan of the Kirby series. All the games are fun, and I don't know, there's a game coming up later on. I was just trying to make deals, trying to bundle things so things got cheaper, and so I saw this, so I was like, oh, I'll grab this. It's a Kirby game I haven't played. So it's kind of cool. It's all about more Kirbys and more power. So you start with just yourself, And then as you collect fruits, there's this meter that goes up to 100. Once you have 100, another Kirby clone is spawned. And then there's certain things you can do with the more Kirbys you have. You're more powerful. And it's all with the stylus, which I don't love, but it's okay. So, you know, you have the star on the screen and Kirby will follow that. You can like kind of flick Kirby and he goes flying. So it's pretty cool so far. I'm definitely interested in trying out more, but hey, Kirby game I hadn't played. Can't be that bad, right? All right, let's see. Next, we're going to go into the Game Boy games, because I do love me some Game Boy. Let's go ahead and talk about this one first. So, we've got Mega Man 2. So I know Mr. Matthews says this game is very bad and probably the worst Mega Man game on the Game Boy, but I do have Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 3 on the Game Boy, and this was the last cheap Mega Man game out there on the Game Boy. Mega Man 4 and 5 are a lot more expensive, so maybe we'll get them someday, but I'm in no rush. So I believe, if I remember correctly, this has like 4 Robot Masters from Mega Man 2 and 4 Robot Masters from Mega Man 3, so it's kind of a mashup of the two. So it should be pretty fun to play. I'm thinking about trying it pretty soon here. I liked 1 and 3, so hopefully that one's not too bad either. Then we've got the Smurfs. So I was looking through a binder of Game Boy games because I've been looking for Barbie on the Game Boy ever since Mega Dan beat it a few years ago, and I can never find it. But I was looking through this binder and I saw a Smurfs game. I'm like, oh, I didn't know there was a Smurfs game on the Game Boy. And so we went to lunch right after that, and while we were there, I looked up gameplay. I'm like, oh, this looks like an interesting platformer. I might as well, check it out. And it was only $10. And again, I bundled all these Game Boy games together, so it was cheaper than that. And yeah, it seems like an okay platformer. Seems like a little bit slippery control, but not too bad so far. And then finally, the last Game Boy game I got, Tracks. So this was another one that I got because of Mr. Matthews' Game Boy videos. So I believe it wasn't his last one, it was the one before that. He was talking about HAL games, and this was on there. And so basically you're a tank that goes around and you shoot stuff. You can get different weapons like armor-piercing bullets, a bomb, a three-way shot, a shot that goes forwards and backwards, and then you use, I believe, the A button to kind of turn your tank and see where you're aiming. I heard it's short, I heard it's easy, but it still looked like a very, very cool game. So I had to grab that. So I'm thinking I'll probably be streaming Tracks and Smurfs pretty soon. We'll see, but really excited to play those. Next, we've got some NES games. First one, Dick Tracy. So I've been actually wanting this for a few years now because I know Mega Dan really likes it, and he always mentions it, that it kind of gets a lot of hate, but he really likes it and it's not that bad of a game. So the reason I grabbed this was because Peter from Ways and Games had made a trade, and this was one of the games he got, and he just asked me, oh, do you have this game? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Dick Tracy. So this was towards the end of the convention. I didn't have much money left. Found it. I think they had $7 on it. I got it for $5. And sweet, got Dick Tracy in my collection. So basically, I tried a little bit, obviously, to capture footage, but it seems like all you do is you listen to the clues, you drive around on the map to go where the clue says, and then you interrogate somebody, they give you another piece of clue, and you drive to a new spot. Doesn't seem that hard to figure out. Obviously, I'm sure there's more to it, but it seems pretty cool so far. Definitely one I'm glad to grab. And then next, a heavy hitter on the NES that I've wanted for a while, but I was able to bundle it with some other stuff, and that is Metal Storm. So this has been on Hidden Gem videos for years. I've been wanting it for years, but it's always been a pricey game. So since I wasn't finding a lot of Genesis stuff, I was like, I'm just going to get some stuff that I really want, and Metal Storm was one. So you're this mech, and what's really cool is you get to be able to go up and down from like the ceiling or the floor and vice versa to kind of maneuver your way around the stage to get a better angle on enemies and stuff, and it's really fun so far. It is one-hit kills, I believe. I could have sworn I got hit once and it didn't kill me, but I could be wrong. But it's really fun. Now, the label's not in the greatest shape, but I got it for a deal. I actually bundled it with the SNES game you're going to see here, and so it got really cheap. So this is another one that I will probably be streaming at some point. And since it's on there, I forgot to share, we did get a video game dust sleeves. He always sends stuff out to Tom and Lacey, and this had everybody who was staying in the Airbnb on it, so that was super cool. We each got one, and then ours was special. It actually had a kind of a shiny sticker for the one that was personally for us, so super cool. That's the one, that's the dust sleeve that Metal Storm is going to be sitting in on the shelf. All right, next we've got one more game before we get to the Genesis game, and this is on the Super Nintendo. That's Axelay. So this is a shooter on the SNES that I've wanted for years, ever since Nefarious West talked about it in my SNES favorite, or what was it, top 10 stage level themes, and I believe he talked about the first level theme in this game, and I always thought this game looks awesome, and I really like shooters, but it's a pricey one, so being able to bundle that with Metal Storm was good. And yeah, it is pretty cool. It's definitely a different perspective, and you've got, I believe you start with just 3 weapons, but I don't know if you unlock more as you go, because it looked like you should be able to choose different ones, but I couldn't. So yeah, and you can change them at any time using the L or R buttons. There's a bomb button you can use, and yeah, it's just a super cool looking game. Soundtrack is amazing. I'm looking forward to playing that, and again, that's probably one we'll stream at some point. So yeah, so far just a lot of games that I got recommended from videos and stuff that I've wanted for a while, so good stuff there. All right, let's get to the last few games that I got, all for the Sega Genesis. All right, so the first one I grabbed was Toys. So this game, I actually grew up with the Super Nintendo version. I've actually streamed it, I've beaten it, and this was based on the 90s movie of the same name with Robin Williams, and it's a super weird movie, but basically I believe this guy's dad dies who owns the toy store, and then his uncle takes over, but he wants to turn it into like military weapons and stuff. And so you play as Robin Williams' character, who's going to go and use his toys, the friendly toys, to defeat him. It's not the greatest game. It actually is pretty difficult at times. But I love it just for the nostalgia sake. And I enjoyed the Super Nintendo version, so I figured why not grab the Genesis version. Next one I grabbed was Dino Land. So this is actually a pinball game, which I had no idea. I've been seeing it for years, but I never picked it up, usually because it didn't have a manual. And then I bought it, and I looked at the back, I'm like, oh, it's pinball. And so I guess it's labeled as a 3-dimensional prehistoric pinball game. I have no idea what that means, because I've only played a few minutes of it, but I guess there's boss fights and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the graphics are really good. The physics seem off, but I feel like that's most pinball games on consoles. The physics never seem quite right, but definitely this was a fantastic looking copy. I mean, everything about it is super nice. Cartridge, manual, box, and really glad to get it. I actually didn't know it was Renovation. I actually grabbed another Renovation game, which we will talk about right now. So we've got Valas III. So super excited to grab this because as you saw in my last Genesis update, I grabbed Sid of Valas, but I didn't have any of the mainstream Valas games. And I believe, yeah, you're the same person as Sid of Valas. So you're Yuko Asho, who's a student in the human world, but she can fulfill her destiny in Dreamland. And so you have this Valas sword that allows you to attack enemies. You get different magic spells you can use. As you go, you can extend your attack meter. So you got the sword that goes across the screen, and when it's fully powered up, it's more powerful attack. But every time you attack, it obviously goes down and recharges, but it recharges pretty quickly. You can also get pickups that make it recharge faster. And yeah, it's just a really cool looking game. So I don't remember, I think there's one more Valas game on the Genesis I need now. I think there's only 3 of them. I could be wrong, so there's either 1 or 2, but really excited to finally get Valas 3. And again, another really nice copy. Manual's not great, but it was for a good price, and I bundled it with Dino Land to make them even cheaper. And the last pickup, the one I am most excited for, it is also a Genesis game. We've got the big box Lethal Enforcers. So it's got the game, the manual, and the Justifier. So I've been wanting this for years. I just love this big box, and honestly, it's not that expensive of a game. I guess it does go for around 100, maybe a little bit more at times, but I saw this right away for 70. So I could not believe it was so cheap. Everything's there, it works, it's really good condition. So I was really glad to grab that. Because it is nice that you can play these games, this one and Lethal Enforcers 2, with the controller, but it's more fun using the Justifier. So I hooked up my CRT earlier today and it worked just fine. So really excited to play that. It'll be a fun stream once I get back to the L's. But yeah, I mean, I've been wanting that for years. So it's just a super cool box, you know? So giant, I don't know where I'm going to display it, just because I got these bigger shelves behind me, but I don't really want it to block a lot of the Genesis games I have, so I'm going to have to put it somewhere else. But no matter where I put it, it's going to look awesome, and it's a great addition to the collection. So here you go. Those are all the Genesis games I picked up and all the games I picked up. And so with 4 more Genesis games, that puts me at 505 Genesis games. So super cool. We're making some progress. I was hoping to buy a little bit more, but I just wasn't finding stuff I needed. I was kind of hoping to get maybe like a heavy hitter, and I did see Sparkster, but it was, I think, $310 without a manual. It's like, no, I'll pay $300 with a manual, like complete, but not for just box and game. No way. And I didn't see any Splatterhouse games. I need Splatterhouse 2, and obviously I wasn't going to buy Musha because I'm just not ready to buy that one yet. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Mo Game Con was a blast as usual. I'm always looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year, and can't wait till next year. So thanks for watching, everybody. Till next time, this is Captain Algebra signing off.